I'm going to give you some quick photography tips about macro photography. I think you'll like this. I decided to run to the store tonight, pick up some flowers, and do a little macro photography, and I wanted to share it with you and give you a few tips just in case you want to try it out for yourself. First thing to know is that macro can be a little challenging, and the reason is because you're usually working with a very shallow depth of field. Any little movement is going to affect your focus point, and it could throw your picture off. You're also usually dealing with less light, and that's because of the mechanics of the type of gear that you'll be using for macro. Also, you're going to find that many of the usual camera controls aren't going to be available to you, again, because of how the macro gear works. Basically, it's a do whatever works situation. Okay, here are some tips. My best recommendation is to get a set of macro extension tubes like this. These aren't actually all that expensive for what you get. These are pretty good ones, and they come in at under 80 bucks. And this is how they work. You see, you've got your camera and your normal lens on it. Just take that lens off, attach one of these extension tubes to where the lens normally goes, and then place the lens, mount that onto the tube. And you've got essentially a macro lens. Now, if you want to hold off on buying those extension tubes, you can just take your lens off your camera, flip it around like this, and if you're steady enough, just kind of hold it like this and take the shot. It's not as good as a real macro lens or extension tubes, but it'll kind of give you a neat effect, and it will definitely get you in close. Also, whenever shooting macro, use a fast shutter speed, use a tripod, try to stay out of windy conditions because, again, any little movement back or forth is going to throw off your focus. And finally, sometimes it's a really good idea to use flash. And what I like to do is use this kind of a setup. Now, it's a regular flash, and there's this pretty inexpensive mini softbox on it, and it just attaches to the camera with this sync cord. Now, if you decide you want to get really serious about macro photography, look into specialty macro lenses and a technique called focus stacking. Now, if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, I'll put a lot more information about macro in the description below.